Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to day 4 of the Ignite the Fire Challenge. Pillar 4, today's topic is going to be conquer the fear. It keeps us on the ground. So, unfortunately, we are steeped in a society that is just full of fear. It is in the media, it is in our social posts, it's in our everyday life. And if we're not conscious and aware that this is going on around us, we can get sucked into it pretty quickly. And we can continue to live in a state of fear even when we're not engaging in these activities. But I'm here to tell you that moving through fear has probably been one of the toughest challenges that I've faced throughout the years. But I am happy to say that I'm in a good space now where fear is not something that comes into my awareness very often anymore. I have been able to identify what fear was holding me back and keeping me grounded. And when it comes up now, I don't have that overwhelming anxiety and I don't have those thoughts that just get me, spiraling out of control anymore because I've come to an understanding of I want to live a better life and I can't live a better life if I'm stuck in a state of fear all the time. So today I will invite you to open yourself up to the concept that it is possible to live in this space. It is possible to attract the things that we want. Instead of throwing out all the negativity and attracting that back, we can absolutely attract what is positive in our life and ride that wave. And it's much more blissful, trust me, than the wave of fear. Absolutely. Excuse me. So I love that there are multiple acronyms for the word fear. Probably one of my favorites is false evidence appearing real. And this is absolutely true 99% of the time. We like to, as humans, create stories that may not necessarily be true, but we create that story in our mind and we run with it. I'm absolutely great at this, having a Pisces sun, and I think it's 8 of my 12 planets are in water. I have a lot of dreamy, heady, imaginative energy running through me all the time. And previously, it was really easy for me to get lost and get stuck in that and go down a rabbit hole of worst case scenarios. And the reality of all of that is that those worst case scenarios usually weren't true. None of them were true. And I created this state of anxiety. I created the anxiety would bubble up, and therefore I would get angry because I didn't know what else to do with that emotion. Created all of these situations in my life that I could have completely avoided had I let go of the fear of the unknown of what was coming. If we can sit in a place of gratitude and appreciation, which we will talk about more tomorrow, but if we can sit in that space and call in the positive and the good things that are coming to us instead of focusing on the negative, we're going to be so much better off in a state of awareness and happiness and joy versus a state of fear of the unknown and creating scenarios for situations that aren't even real. This puts us into a lower frequency vibration. Like I mentioned earlier, it creates anxiety in our body, which can wreak havoc in many, many ways, especially if we don't get a control over it. It can create a constant state of anxiety where we're in this fight or flight mode. And so we're constantly battling our own inner demons that are just situations and scenarios that we've made up in our mind. Law of attraction says that what we put out there is what we're going to get back. So if we're putting out anxiety, if we're putting out fear, if we're putting out all the negativity, then guess what? That's what we're going to get back. And that's what we're going to choose to focus our attention on versus choosing to focus it on the positive and the good that's happening in our lives. So, bleeding over a little bit into what we're going to talk about in Pillar 5, gratitude and appreciation, we can have more of that for what's happening in our life right now in this moment, staying present. Then we can unravel all of this fear-based mind clutter that runs through our minds a lot of the time when we don't know what the outcome is going to be. And so I invite you to, next time maybe you start to spiral out of control into the situation that you have no evidence of what the actual outcome is going to be, that you sit with some positivity and project that out instead of your fear. I recently saw a meme that talked about having glimmers, and I've heard that term before, glimmer of hope. But glimmers also, when I heard that and thought about that, I'm like, it's like glitter. I love glitter. It's just fun, right? Sparkly and magical and all the things. So if we have these little glimmers that we can focus our attention on, then those glimmers will start to grow brighter and brighter and brighter as we focus more positive energy into the situation and become finally a bright light from which we can project and gain so much more happiness from. There's a line in a song that I'm not going to remember right now in this moment. Maybe I will here in a second, the name of the song. But the line says, the lyrics say, if we are living in, let's see, we are living in, don't quote me on this, sadness, we're living in the past. If we're living in fear, we're living in the future. And if we're living in joy, we're living in the present. And that struck me so deeply here in my heart the first time I heard that, because it's so true. We live in a constant state of, I don't know what's next, then we're never going to be able to focus on what is right here in front of us right now. And if we're focused on what's right in front of us right now, then we can handle that. That's not overwhelming, and that's not putting us into this state of anxiety and fear that causes overwhelm, causes our bodies to break down, even because it's going to put us into a lower frequency vibration that creates illness and disease within our bodies. I was diagnosed with anxiety way back 20 something years ago. I was finishing my last semester of college. I was going through a divorce. I had a 2-year-old son. There was a lot going on in my life. And I couldn't sleep. And I was just in this constant state of, my chest was tight. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. It was completely unhealthy for my physical being as well as my emotional health. And it took me probably about 6 months to come out of that once things settled down a little bit. And I realized in that moment, it was like, you know what? That was all situational. That's not my body malfunctioning. That's my brain malfunctioning. That's me overthinking scenarios and situations. That's me putting myself in scenarios and situations that aren't good for me. And so through that, I learned to start listening to my body. And when I started feeling that tightness in the chest, when I started feeling those heart palpitations and the inability, I guess, to sleep or to eat, I'm like, okay, what needs to change? Because something has to change. I temporarily during that time in college, went on an anti-anxiety medication, and it completely numbed me out. And I did not like how that felt at all, because not only was I not fearing or feeling the anxiety anymore, but I also wasn't feeling any joy. And so I took myself off the medication within just a couple of months. I just couldn't handle it, because I realized that all of that was doing was just kind of creating a band-aid, because I was still in some toxic relationships and toxic situations that I needed to get out of. And popping that pill every day was not going to take me out of it. Took the edge off, and it allowed me to be able to see a little clearer and realize the things that needed to change in my life. But overall, it wasn't going to be the big fix. So for me, the big fix was evaluating where my fear was coming from and correcting those situations. So if we can do that in our everyday life, then we're going to have less need for those little crutches. And we're going to be able to pull ourselves out of these situations a lot easier, with a lot more grace, and understand and know that there's going to be happiness and joy on the other side of that once we move through it. So with that being said, I would like to take us into a journey to help us just kind of move some of that fear out of our body, so that we can feel what it feels to be completely free of that. And even if that lasts for just a few minutes during this journey, if it lasts a few minutes after the journey is complete, at least you will know what it feels like to be free of all of that extra heavy weight, those emotions, all of the things that are holding us back. So I invite you to get comfortable if you're in a space where you can do that. If you are not in a space where you can close your eyes and fully receive this meditative journey, then I ask you to pause the video and come back to it when you can. So get comfortable in this moment, and we will get started. So let's just start by taking a few deep breaths, calling in that pillar of golden light coming down from the heavens, down into the top of our crown chakra, moving down, cascading over us, enveloping us in a beautiful cocoon of warmth, of love, safety, and protection. And as you breathe in, we invite you to breathe in that golden light, moving it in to your heart space, raising the vibration as it moves through that heart chakra, loosening up any tightness, any anxiety that might be hanging out there. Because as it raised this vibration to that of this love frequency, it is going to completely obliterate that lower vibration of fear. Because love and fear cannot exist in the same place at the same time. So breathe that in deeply, receiving, allowing yourself to come into alignment with this frequency of love. Bringing in the awareness and knowing that that fear is just man-made. It's not real. It is something that we create with our mind. And as we move forward into this higher state of awareness, we don't have to take that frequency of fear with us. Continue to breathe in that golden light. Allow it to move throughout your entire heart center, your heart space, heart chakra, moving throughout the lungs. As it does that, it shines that beautiful golden light, blasting out any lower level frequencies, any doubt, any worry. As you fall into this state of consciousness where love completely surrounds you, it allows you to be free so that you can feel connected to your higher self outside of all of the stories that we tell ourselves, outside of the human experience, knowing that when we do come back into the human experience, we will come back into a state of bliss because we know that this love surrounds us at all times and we have infinite access to this state of being. Allow this golden light to completely surround you, to wrap you in an energetic hug, lifting you up, lightening your load, releasing any tension into the light. Allowing you to feel weightless, completely floating as this love embraces you and brings you back to wholeness. We invite you to do a check-in with your physical being. Where else are you holding fear and anxiety in your body? Maybe there are other places besides just that heart space. If there are, just send that golden light into those areas of density, breaking up that lower level energy and replacing it with this beautiful love of light. We bring to your awareness now that you are an extension of Source. You carry within you the frequency of all that is, the frequency of love, and that you can tap into this resource at any given moment where you feel like you need the attention and support of the divine.
We invite you to recall this experience, to raise your vibration at any given point in time when you begin to feel the fear and anxiety creeping back in. We invite you to observe your experiences as an objective viewer who does not need to give in to the lower level frequencies of fear. We remind you of your connection to all that is. We remind you that you are divine love. And we invite you to maintain this frequency as you move through the rest of your human experience. So it is, and so it will be. So let's take a few deep breaths. Let's come back in to our physical being and to our physical surroundings. As we continue to carry with us this frequency of love. And when you feel complete, you may open your eyes.